What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and the overall market. I'm going to talk about some big data that just came out, not to mention how the market's responding to earnings, what you should be watching for as time goes on. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Webull link. This is the final day. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20. If you deposit $2,000 or more, and you're guaranteed 40. Once again, guys, it's the last day. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So, looking at Tesla, we're on a bit of a downtrend right now. We had a high up here in the 270s. We came down, made a lower high in the 265 area, came down, made a lower high at 262, and now we're continuing to make lower highs and lower lows. But we're starting to see our 20 EMA at 255 acting as a big support for Tesla. So we'll see if this could hold or not. And if we do end up losing this, we're going to be anticipating some more downside. So I'll be watching this very, very carefully. Now, so far for the markets, just know this. Today is Thursday, October 31st, 2024. It is Halloween, the last day of October. So, hope you guys have a very, very fun day. But just know that we got some very important numbers. The core PC data month over month was at 0.3%. So this is technically aligned with expectations. Okay. And then we also saw some employment numbers, very minor stuff. Initial jobless claims was below expectations as well. So, a little bit of weakness in the job sector. PCE month over month, this for all items is at 0.2%, also aligned with expectations. So core and all items were basically aligned with expectations month over month. For year over year, it was at 2.1% aligned with expectations. And last but not least, for core year over year, this is for all items without food and energy. It was at 2.7%, technically aligned with expectations. So all the PCE data was exactly aligned with expectations, despite the fact that some job numbers were a little bit weaker. We have some bill auctions coming out later, but so far this is not really affecting the market as much. PCE was, I would say, decent, but we didn't have this negative catalyst right here. As you know, we just had Microsoft and Meta announce their earnings alongside Coinbase. Meta is gapping down. It basically missed on user growth. It warns of a jump in AI spending, despite the fact that they beat on EPS and revenue. But that's what caused it to dip a bit. It is trying to get bought back up right now, but it's still in the red. So it's going to open in the red and we'll see how it reacts. Microsoft did see a bigger dip because of the fact that their cloud growth forecast wasn't as strong as what investors were expecting. That's why Microsoft is still down about 3%. This is dragging the market down a little bit, alongside other factors. So something's worth mentioning is the fact that we're starting to see a little bit of a dip right now in the pre-market session. Besides that, there's not really a whole lot else that's going on. Consumer spending has once again pushed a bit, but it's a little bit weaker as we're starting to see underwhelming growth. And then that's something that's worth noting from yesterday. Besides that, that's why the market started to dip a little bit, not the strongest GDP numbers. As far as Tesla goes, we're starting to see all this news about how China's BYD is overtaking Tesla, this and that. Honestly, guys, I don't really care about this too much. I think they're both, excuse me, I think they're both giants. They're both massive, so we don't have to compare them in every way, shape, or form. What basically happened was they posted about $28.2 billion in revenue between July and September. That's a 24% jump. Elon Musk's Tesla basically had a revenue of about 25.2 billion, so they actually did have higher revenue, which is not really a big deal because Tesla also sold more EVs than BYD in the third quarter. So we could compare them all we want. This company did this, this, this. Honestly, guys, it doesn't really matter. And we'll see how things go in the future when Tesla starts, manufacturing these robots, doing all these other things. Things could still change. So I wouldn't be too positive or too, I would say, too pessimistic about Tesla. I would say this: the media is just trying to call out Tesla, find a different way to bash it. Don't compare these different companies. They're both great. I respect both of them. I just wish the best for everyone. Just know that all I care about is how Tesla does relative to its previous quarters and what kind of growth projections are there. I'm not really worried about comparing them to BYD. That's what my personal view is. All right. So just keep that in mind. As far as Tesla stock goes, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We need to see if Tesla could surpass these highs up here around 262 to turn back up. What's happening is we're attempting to rebound just a teeny tiny bit. It could try to push a little bit after open, but I do think we're going to be looking for a dip to about 255. And we'll see if Tesla holds this or not. If it does not hold, we're at risk of coming all the way down to 252. So it does look to me like it's going to do something similar, kind of pop a little bit, then start dropping. And I still think there's a risk of downside unless we break the highs from yesterday. I do favor my same view. So make sure you watch 260 is our main resistance and our main supports at 255. I think Tesla may push a little bit before it starts dipping back down. 255 should be retested, and then we might break that and start dipping a little bit lower. So just keep that in mind. As far as SPY goes, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. Could we see a little pop thanks to PCE? Maybe we do pop upon open, a little pop, but then we're going to likely continue to dip. And I still think we're going to be heading all the way down to 575 very soon. This is where we tend to get bought back up, so we'll see if this holds. If it does not hold, we're looking for 572 as our next target, then 570. So I do anticipate more downside, guys. I think the odds favor 575. We'll see if we get a bounce from there or not, but just be ready for more potential downside. For ES, it's the same thing. Looking at this 200 EMA as our support at 5,800. Could pop a bit for 58.25, but then if we continue to fall, there should be a retest of 5,800 later on. We'll see if that holds or not, because we're barely at support right now. Could pop a little bit, but then if we lose that, we're looking for a bigger dip into the 57.80 area or below if we lose 5,800, so watch for that very, very carefully. As far as Nvidia goes, we're looking a little bit more bearish. We dipped quite a bit. We're trying to retest our 50 EMA and we're struggling to break above it. So we need to get back above at least 138.5 and then 140 to turn back up. If we can't reclaim 138.5, there's a risk of 135 to fill this gap below or even below that. So be very mindful of that. For Bitcoin, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We have lower highs that are being made. So there is a risk of this dipping all the way down towards 71,800, not to mention 71,300. So there is a risk of that potentially happening. So we'll have to see how things end up going. We could dip a little bit more, guys. Just keep that in mind. For NQ is trying to rebound just a bit, but we got to get back above 20,500 to turn back up. My gut tells me it might come a little bit short. We might push a little bit higher into the 20,400s, and then we could see a rejection, and this may continue to dip lower. So with this, very, very big sell-off that started, we might rebound a bit thanks to like Meta and PCE data, and then we could dip lower unless we hold above 20,500 for at least 4 hours. We need to do that to turn back up. Otherwise, this is going to like pop and then drop. So just keep that in mind. Same thing with the QQQ. We're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We're struggling to get back above 494. We'll see if we could try to get back above 494 or not, and then 495.78. If we fail to do so, there is a risk of us kind of like popping a bit then dipping, and we could be on our way back down towards the 490 area. So I think the odds favorite downside will try to pop in the daytime period once this opens, and then if it fails to hold, we may continue to start dipping for 490. For Apple, we have earnings coming out very soon. I think Apple has earnings today. I believe it is. Yep, today after market close. So this is going to be interesting. As of right now, we're kind of flat. We had a high here, came down, made a lower high, came down, made a lower high. So it might be coming back down to this imbalance. Could pop a bit, and then we might be dipping back down to about 228. Just for a few more, just to conclude this video as fast as possible. The IWM is kind of rejecting here. We need to hold above 221.36 at the very least. If it fails to hold that, we could be dipping to 220 all over again. If that fails, we have that gap below. So look for 221.36. If that does not hold, we're looking for a bigger dip. For Coinbase is rejecting right over here. We basically have support around 205. If that fails us, we're looking for a bigger dip back down to the 200 area. And we have 211 as our resistance. Might be dipping closer to 200 if that fails us, so watch for that. For Amazon, we're making lower highs, kind of rejecting. If 190 does not hold us, we're looking for 188 as our potential targets. Meta is attempting to rebound just a bit, but we'll see if it makes a lower high or not. We have 584 as our resistance in 590. We might push close to 590, but we'll see if we get a rejection. Microsoft is looking more bearish. It's falling right now. There is a risk of it dipping closer to 412. And then Google is also getting dragged down. We might try to retest around 176.75, but then if we reject, we're looking for a bigger dip from 172. Anyways, that is it for excuse me, that's it for my video. I thank you all so much for listening. Hope you guys have an absolutely spectacular rest of your day. Make sure you watch that 255 support on Tesla. We might retest it. We'll see if it holds or not. If it does not hold, expect 252, 215, these lower levels as our next targets. All right. So with that being said, I thank you all for listening. Please have a great day. I'll see you guys very soon in my next video in just a couple of hours. Until then, thank you and peace out.